You are listening to Stories in Berlin, 20 minutes every week, monologues and radio plays, interviews with writers, artists and bands, poetry and songs, true stories from the city of Berlin. Hello to all and welcome to Stories in Berlin. This is Chris speaking, and today we are going to talk about books, but books without covers. The idea for this original project that was born in Berlin some time ago is traced back to this woman.
My name is Susann Hochgräf. I'm actually born in Berlin, so the story is really short.
You are one of these few people born in Berlin.
I know, it's quite rare.
You're lucky, you're a real Berliner.
Yeah, I am. So, what can I tell you about myself? I'm born and raised in Berlin, and I ventured out and lived in other countries to just get some more inspiration. And I studied literature and philosophy, and I founded a literature project called Books Without Covers.
Some years back, Susann was a young writer looking for opportunities to present her work in Berlin. And then one day, she had an idea.
What was the initial idea behind Books Without Covers? How it all came to you to create this project?
Books Without Covers was actually more of a coincidence, I would say, because I was writing, or I am writing as well myself, and I was part of a group of writers that were organizing events from time to time called Fang, and so a friend of mine who was part of the group was asking me and said, like, so we have this request for a gallery in Berlin where we could create a project. But actually, all of us being really far away from Berlin, and maybe it's something that you would like to take on and see what you can do. And I put you in touch with this beautiful young woman who was the, how do you call it, gallerist, I would say, who's the gallerist of the gallery Anna 25. And so when I met her, we talked about the possibilities of what could be done there with regards to literature. And I was thinking of all the events that already exist in Berlin and thought of something that I myself would like to submit a text. And I for myself wouldn't want to read my text out loud. And as well, I felt that the scene was quite closed off to new writers. It was more enhancing and fostering established artists who were already recognized and got book deals and prizes and came from famous universities. So I wanted to create something where the text is in the foreground. So it came up as an idea where actually actors are reading the texts and the writers are revealed afterwards. So that even the texts are chosen by people without knowing who wrote them, so that everyone stands the same chance. And we had that one event planned, and it was a huge success. So it was really crowded. A lot of people came, and people were asking, so when is the next time I would like to participate? And soon we realized that the space we had in this beautiful gallery wouldn't be enough. So the idea came, okay, maybe we could continue and see where this takes us, and see where we could establish a reading series like this one.
So it all started for you being a young writer and wanted like your text get out, right? Like to communicate the text to the audience, and trying to find a way like for the text of people like you who are not published or who are not published yet to reach as many people as possible, at least as many people as possible in Berlin.
Yes.
So you said, okay, if I cannot reach a lot of people because I'm not published yet, I can create a project, and through this project I can reach more and more people, and at the same time give an opportunity to people like me, to young writers, to do the same. And maybe an editor can come and then offers that. Does it happen this, that editors come by and offer some book deals to some young writers? as well?
Yeah, it did happen. So I know of at least one writer who said that someone approached him after the reading and he got one of his stories published, and I think as well they were talking about a book deal. So this networking is what I intended as well, that people come together and create collaborations, and eventually people get recognized for their text, and I'm really happy when this happens.
That's very beautiful. That's why you call it like books without covers, because they are unpublished books.
Not necessarily.
Not
So
necessarily.
it's not a criteria. So everyone can submit. It can be published. It just means books without covers, that we don't know anything about the paperback. We don't know anything about the writer. We don't get
A summary.
distracted by beautiful covers and so on. So we really have to focus on the content and judge for ourselves what we define as good literature.
I grew up on a train making rounds by the Mediterranean coast. My father worked at the train restaurant. By work at the restaurant, I mean he did everything there was to do, from cleaning to checking tickets, except to conduct. By restaurant, I mean a counter where he sat behind and smoked, exhibiting 3 types of sweets, 3 types of crackers, and a tea tank to passengers who only order tea and occasionally ask for cigarettes. It was quite common to smoke on the train back then, between the cars. I wonder if it still is. It probably is. I have no memory from the times before I got on the train with him. I just thought I must have been born in carriage 0 without a mother, and I was okay with that.
And the decision to put actors, like people who work professionally with their voice, to read this text rather than the writer reading the text, was a conscious decision, was for a reason, or how it came, this idea?
I wanted to give room for writers that don't like to be on the stage, so that they can have as well this moment of presenting their text to an audience without being in the spotlight themselves. But I wanted to make sure that when someone else reads the text, that it's in a high quality and sometimes could do the text as well some favor, could support or emphasize certain ideas of language as well, and transport that as well to the audience, who might as well not be a typical reading series audience, and maybe by the transfer through professional voices it helps them to get in contact with literature.
Yes, that's actually a very, very good idea, because we don't see often professional actors to read books. Like I have seen a reading series, it's usually the author that reads the book, and it's very interesting because when an author reads the book, it's his interpretation. It's like a little bit when an artist speaks about his work and then say, did you see my painting, and it means this and it means this. So it's a little bit closing the concept instead of opening, because it offers the content together with an interpretation. But when we have another person, and this person is a professional, in this case it's an actor, then the text itself, it's open to more interpretation and offers more space.
Yeah, that is true.
More space for people.
And it is interesting because I think the writers sometimes experience the same thing, that they hear them text interpreted in different ways, and they didn't intend a certain voice or rhythm, and it has changed through the act of reading it by someone else. And it gives them as well a bigger dimension of what their text or how their text could be understood as well.
That's amazing. And now, because you needed a bigger venue, as far as I understand, you are in a theater, you are in TIC in Friedrichshain, and this it fits a lot, because you have actors reading and you have a theater, and the writers themselves, they are hidden among the audience. Nobody knows who the writer is. They're revealed in the end. And do you also have prizes, like the prize of the audience and things like that, or not?
The what?
You have prizes, like awards, like
no, it's not a competition. It's not as a poetry slam, so it's not a text. No text wins.
Okay.
So we took out this whole idea of competition. It's really just mere platform of presentation text. And I mean, the praise is not a prize, but the praise is you can see how an audience reacts towards the text. if they like it, and what points they were laughing, or maybe giving some comments and
feedback. You have like a
Exactly,
feedback
yeah.
session in the end with a
It's basically what you get when you play theater as well. So when you're on stage, you get immediate responses, and it's the same. This is this live event. Yeah.
Every passing day began to bring new questions with it, to me at last. My father or his smile didn't seem to change at all. When I'd asked him questions like how many people lived outside of the train, he would say numbers did not matter. The important thing was to live here and now. When I asked him questions like why we were stopping when the clock showed certain numbers, he would say because we had to. I have learned even before I even know how to count that there were 3 categories of passengers which got on our train. Regulars, typicals, the one who got on the wrong train. Regulars had faces, some even had names. I knew most of them by the stations they got on and off, some by their jobs, and some by the presents they brought me from time to time. My favorite regular was, of course, Uncle Hassan. We used to play a game, him and I. We would look at typicals and try to guess where they will get off, what their names could be.
So, Susann, what's the selection process for the text? Who selects the text? How they're being selected?
So there is a team of people that help selecting the text, and it sometimes change the people, but there is a constant quartet or heart of people that are doing it, and they come from different backgrounds. Some of them are working at publishers, and some of them are active writers themselves. Some of them are working within cultures and or filmmakers. So they really have a bond to literature, and they're really eager to be part of that, which I really appreciate. And the selection process goes as follows: that we are always open to any submissions, and normally we have between 30 and 40 texts each round, and then each of us selects their favorites, 6 of their favorite texts, and then we come together and then we speak about our selections, and we decide together among us of, again, 6 texts that will be read on the event. So it will be a lot of discussions, a lot of analyzing text and weaknesses and strengths, and then just choosing the ones that show for us a huge variety as well. We like different forms of text, we like different contexts, deep speech levels, and so on.
And you also accept like different genres, for example,
Yeah.
poetry and
Yeah.
fiction and
Yeah.
biographies
Exactly,
and all this.
yeah. I'm really interested as well in experimental text and essays, and we have as well some theater plays that were submitted, and the interesting part is when we can create an event with our actors as well. So when we have a text that actually works as well in the scenic reading, so plays are perfect for that too.
Wow, so you have a group of actors who work for you, and then you select, for example, one scene is with 3 actors, and the actors interpret the characters of the play.
So the actors are changing as well. So each reading series or each event, there's different people on stage as well. So we have some that come again and read for us, but normally it will change because it makes it more interesting to hear different voices as well.
Nice.
No matter which category they belong to, all passengers loved our train. It is peaceful to be here, they always said. So calm, so quiet. Such an honest man, and hard-working too. I would often hear the regulars and typicals say to each other about my father while they waited for their tea. No one except me seemed to have any questions about why things were the way they were, and I was not happy with it. One day, a girl like no one I've ever seen got on the train. She was with others, but her light blue hair shined over everyone around her. Light blue hair. They were speaking in a language I've never heard before or after. She looked happy, like my father when he prayed, or Uncle Hassan when he won at backgammon. But she was just happy. She looked into the eyes of the boy sitting next to her with her blue eyes and kissed him. I must have been in some sort of trance, because I did not stop looking at her until Uncle Hassan carried me to the cafeteria car. What were they? I asked. Just some people on the wrong train, he said. I want to go back and look at the girl. Why would you want that? It's not a good idea, Dunya. Listen. Look at me, Dunya. You do not want to end up like them, like her, on the wrong train looking like a clown. That was the first time I felt stuck. It was my own body and my own thoughts, feelings. How was Uncle Hassan able to make me feel this way? I did not understand any of it, and I did not say anything to him. I just waited for this feeling to go away. When I went back to the other car, the girl had already left. Why did he have to do that? How did he know I wouldn't want to end up like her? Maybe I did want to be her. Maybe I did want to be on the wrong train once.
How often the event takes place?
So at the beginning it was quite regularly. I think it was every 3 months for quite some time. So we started 2015. And now we're down to twice a year in Berlin, but we have extra events coming up this year. That's why we reduced it. And because it's a lot of work and just everyone was quite busy, and it's just something that we realized we want to take more time to ensure quality as well, to offer as well that the texts get lectured by us now. So it's something that takes time. And we were part this year of a reading series festival that would take place in September this year, from the 12th to the 15th of September in Nuremberg, called ULF, the Unabhängige Lesereien Festival, which contains all German-speaking, a lot of 29, I think, German-speaking reading series from Switzerland to Austria and Germany.
I would close my eyes and imagine being underwater at night. Sometimes I would cry without even understanding why, which made me cry more. Then I would feel tired. So tired that I wouldn't be able to sleep.
And what's your vision with this project? Like, what would be like your wildest dream? Where would you like books without covers to go, to reach?
Well, that's a very good question. To be honest, my dream would be that we get funding and that everyone who is involved in the project gets paid. That's my biggest dream.
There was another question. So everybody's volunteering, right? The actors, the people who select, everybody, and then even the space they give it for free, or we're really lucky with the place. So they get or take the money from the bar, but we get the space for free, and we get a technician and everything. That's really, really amazing. So the TIC people are really great for projects like that. But I feel that this has come to an end now because for my sake, I've realized I don't want to continue working and not being able to pay people. So now it's a bit at a turning point where it's about either something has to change or we have to stop. It will be a big pity to stop, though. It's a very nice project, and it's an original project. We don't see projects like that. So this is something that Berlin is famous maybe for. It's a lot of creative minds, a lot of beautiful ideas, people who make these ideas come true, because it's quite easy to make an idea come true in Berlin, but then at some point it has to get funding, because otherwise all these beautiful ideas and projects, they die out. So I think you should get funding, and you will get funding. For sure you will get funding. You have a beautiful project. It takes hard work to apply and make dossiers and not be disheartened from all the applications, but for sure you'll make it in the end. Thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you, Chris.
All the best with Books Without Covers, and I really wish you have your own funding, but as well you can grow even bigger, so maybe it can happen once a month, because there is a team to support it, as you said, it's a team that's getting paid, and it can grow from Berlin to different German cities and maybe to different cities in Europe. Why not? It's a very original concept. It's very beautiful. I think young people who write, they need initiatives like that.
It was the end of fall. One morning, somewhere between getting out of bed and putting my slippers on, I decided to leave the train. Everybody was doing it, so why couldn't I? I wondered why I hadn't done so already. Then I thought of my father and changed the subject. I mean, in my own head. But sooner or later, mostly sooner, my thoughts would come back to the same point. I don't know if it was because we spent our lives making rounds that my thoughts worked the same way, or the other way around. I don't know how many rounds I made before I actually got off the train. I can't tell you how old I was when I left. Do you think my father cried or smiled? My father. My father. My father. My father worked at the restaurant of a train which made rounds by the Mediterranean coast. I wanted to be the conductor of my own train. Now I conduct a train which goes back and forth between Malmö and Stockholm. It gets a little cold in here sometimes, but I'm okay with that.
We heard extracts from the book A Train Story by Nasli Koka, read by the actor Kathy Thimmer. You can find more information about Books Without Covers at the website bookswithoutcovers/readings.com. Thank you for listening and see you next week with more stories from Berlin. You are listening to Stories in Berlin.